Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ben here. I am back again today doing another video. And the subject of today's video is going to be on the AFC East and specifically my predictions for how it will turn out in the 2019 season. So yes, the NFL season is already underway, but it started right when I was in the middle of doing these prediction videos. So with only 2 weeks in, I feel like I can still do a pretty fair predictions video. It's not like we've learned too much about the NFL season yet. And so, with that being said, I'm going to get into it without any further ado. The first team to talk about here that I think will be finishing in first place is the New England Patriots. I think they'll win this division pretty easily. I have predicting them for winning around 12 games, so them going 12-4. I think like at the worst, this team goes 11-5, and maybe like at the best they go like 14-2. They just have a great roster top to bottom, a great defense. When you look at the secondary, they've got Jason McCourty, Devin McCourty, Patrick Chung, Stephon Gilmore, Duron Harmon. That's a really talented five guys right there, and it's one of the best secondaries in all football. Even besides that, they've still got their consistent performers like Dante Hightower, though, and a few other guys sprinkled in there in the front seven who are pretty good. And this defense is set to be really good, along with an offense that boasts some of the most firepower it's ever had during the Tom Brady era. So at wide receiver, they actually traded away former five-time Pro Bowler Demaryius Thomas because they were so loaded and thought that they didn't need all that help on offense. So they've got Antonio Brown at wide receiver, Julian Edelman at wide receiver, Josh Gordon at wide receiver. They've also got Philip Dorsett at wide receiver, along with a rookie first-round pick named N'Keal Harris and Cameron Meredith. So right there, that's six wide receivers who I would trust. Again, to run that down for you quickly, that's um, Antonio Brown, Edelman, Gordon, Cameron Meredith, N'Keal Harris, and Philip Dorsett. Six dudes that are all pretty reliable and would be pretty consistent performers, I think. So from that perspective, their wide receiver core is probably, you'd say, tied for the deepest in the NFL, if not the deepest in the NFL. Besides that, they have a good tight end in Benjamin Harrison, and they've got good running backs in James White and Sony Michel. That's a pretty good running back core. You can have James White come in when you want to do more of the um, plays where you're going to throw the ball to the running back, excuse me, or if he's going to line up in the slot or something, you can have James White do that, and you can have Sony Michel be more of your traditional every down I formation single back running back in those sets. So yeah, a very complete team, and I think 12-4 is pretty much what they're going to be at. Maybe a little better or worse, but pretty easily will win this division. In second place, I have the Buffalo Bills finishing at 6-10. This is a team that did make the playoffs 2 years ago, but last year they were not very good, and this year I don't really see them being very good. They are 2-0 right now, which has actually, I will admit, has skewed my perception a little bit. I predicted that they would be 5-11. Now I'm saying 6-10 based on how they did these first 2 weeks. I think Josh Allen is still pretty raw as a quarterback. Still has a lot to learn. Um, he does still have good legs under him, so that's a positive for this team. And he has a little bit more pocket presence than he did last year too, just from what I've seen so far. So that's both of those are good signs. Singletary in the backfield, he's been a little bit better than I thought he would be. I thought it was a big mistake for them just to straight out release LaShawn McCoy, but Singletary's been this new guy for them, and he's been doing all right so far. I think his name's David Singletary or something with it. His first name starts with a D. I don't remember what it is, but he had a rushing touchdown in week 2, and he's looking good so far. The wide receiver core, I'm not huge on. John Brown is like their best dude. I think it's like John Brown and Cole Beasley, so nothing great in my opinion. The offensive line's only average, but the defense is still pretty good. They maintain a lot of the same guys that they had. Their best guy actually right now, I think, would be, you'd say, Micah Hyde as far as their best defensive player. But overall they've got a decent defense and one, I wouldn't say top 10, but I definitely say like top half of the league, like somewhere in like the top 15 or 16 of defenses. Decent secondary and decent front seven. Nothing that's going to blow you away, but definitely can hold their own and keep games close for the offense if they can perform well to win a couple here and there. But overall, just not enough weapons on offense to me, and the defense is decent, but not enough massive game changers to make them like a defensive force overall. Next, I have the New York Jets at 5-11. So I thought the Jets would be a better team than they were last year, and I don't know if that'll necessarily translate to record as much as it will just their overall feel. But I think having Sam Darnold miss time probably for about 6-7 weeks is going to hurt them. Um, he I think was going to take a few steps forward this year, but now we won't really be able to see that until later on in the season. But they do have a decent receiving core this year, which is something that they did not have last year. They've now got Robbie Anderson, Demarius Thomas, and Jamison Crowder. That's a pretty solid three guys right there, and it's a pretty good start for Sam Darnold to get a decent wide receiving core around him. Besides that, of course, they've got Le'Veon Bell in the backfield, and I think he's a really good addition for this team, and he will open things up for Darnold on offense. Offensive line is average to mediocre, so that will be a struggle for this team as far as establishing the run game and even getting continued pass protection for Sam Darnold. But I think they just have more offensive weapons than they previously did between Thomas, Crowder, and Le'Veon, and so that'll definitely help Sam Darnold's composure and ability to get some plays off and be a more effective quarterback. So hopefully when he comes back from having mono, he shows some development and improvement with more weapons around him. As far as defense, they've got Jamal Adams at safety, but I don't really see much else to be excited about on this defense. I guess you could say Quinnen Williams at defensive tackle. He's a promising rookie. And then I think they still, if I'm correct, have Leonard Williams at defensive end. So those three players are people to be excited about. I'm not really that excited about the rest of the defense. Some of the players are decent, some are well below average, and so they've got a few studs on defense, but as an entire unit, they still need a lot more help, which hopefully this next year in the draft, that's what they focus on. Because I feel like on offense now they've got some good weapons they can transition to focusing on defense. Let's see here. So I had them at 5-11, and then lastly I have the Miami Dolphins at 4-12. This was before the season started that I predicted 4-12. It could actually be worse now that we're seeing some of the games played. Collectively, in the first 2 weeks of the season, Miami has lost by a combined score of 102-3, or 102-10. Excuse me, not 3. 102-10. That's basically completely awful. They have many guys asking to be traded away. A lot of guys want out. And to really run by you quickly, the guys that they have on this roster that are worth having, Xavier Howard is a corner that's pretty good, and I struggle to come up with a ton of other guys that I find to be pretty good. They got a few offensive linemen who are okay. And I don't know what to think of Josh Rosen yet, really. I think that they're going to keep him for the long haul, though. Yeah, I'm not really sure what to make of this team. They are doing the equivalent of tanking, which I've never really seen an NFL team do before, I don't think. They did get like two first round picks, I think, for like Laramie Tunsil and Kenny Stills. So that'll be good next year combined with their own to get a lot of talent built up. But I think even at this point, calling 4-12 would be I think maybe accurate, but more on the generous side even. I think you could see anywhere between 2-14 to 4-12 this year from them. Really, with Ryan Fitzpatrick leading the charge, and Kenyon Drake is at best like an average running back. I'd say on his best days he's like a top 12 running back. On his worst days he's like a bottom 10. So again, kind of hard to tell where he is in that whole scheme of things, but this team just really doesn't have any bright spot where you're like, man, that's what this team can hang their hat on, and they're going to get beat a lot this year. So that's my predictions for the AFC East for this coming season, guys, 2019. I'll reiterate: Patriots at 12-4, Bills at 6-10, Jets at 5-11, and Dolphins at 4-12. This is by far the weakest division in football, pretty straightforward. If you have any comments or thoughts, or you want to leave me your predictions for the division, feel free to do so below. And feel free to like, subscribe, and if you're interested, go and check out my other NFL season preview videos. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.